Ain't that the truth? All right. Welcome one and all to the Off the Rails Sportscast. I'm here with my main man Brian. How you doing today, Brian?
Doing great. Got a little bit of weather we're dealing with, but it's not too bad, so we're cruising along.
Didn't the mamas and papas say it never rains in Southern California? I don't know. I
Dude,
guess
I
maybe
know,
that's a
dude. I'm
lie.
not that old. I'm not that old.
Unfortunately, I am. They were the new whippersnapper group when I was growing up, you know?
Oh,
Oh,
right
yeah,
on.
right. All right. How was your weekend?
Weekend was uh it was okay. We had a funeral to attend to, so those are always a bit of a downer.
Sure.
But
A little
got to
more
spend
for
a
the
little
person
time.
in the casket.
Well, yeah. Well, got to see some family though that we don't see often, so that was kind of cool just to catch up with some people. So
Beautiful.
there you
Okay.
go.
There
And we
you
got to watch
go.
some baseball.
And we got a full weekend of baseball. I for the life of me, I do not understand. I understand wanting everybody to play on Thursday, but half the teams take Friday off and then they come back Saturday and Sunday. Rob Manfred, just another brilliant stroke there. As we dive into seeing if we can compete with pickleball for the national attention. All right. Any general observations after watching baseball for opening weekend, Brian?
Yeah. I told you the Yankees would be just fine.
No, brother. Oh God. Yeah. It's the torpedo bats, Brian. These
Is it?
new, yeah, I guess, right? I gotta say, maybe I have a stinking feeling that maybe that Milwaukee is a little worse than we thought, and their pitching's a little worse than we thought. Maybe that's why,
Yeah.
the Yankees were putting up football numbers. They missed the extra point on Saturday. They only scored 20. But
Well, hey, they went for two and missed.
yes, exactly. The damn college 2-point try.
The Brewers. I think we both said they're gonna be okay within the NL Central, but that's a down division, and hey, they got their clocks clean. Whatever.
I mean, granted, let's not be like baseball tonight and every game is, I like how 2 weeks in they go, this is a crucial game for the Cincinnati Reds. It's like, oh my God. They only got 145 to go, guy.
That's
Every night it is. But with that said, I'm not I'm not sounding the alarm bells, but the Padres looked very good, and the Braves didn't look good in their opening series. They got swept by them. You got any observations about that?
well. We expected the Padres to be a contending team, right? Granted, we also
Braves,
expected the Braves to be a contending team.
yeah,
Uh, it was a bad weekend for the Braves. It was a good weekend for the Padres. It looks alarming because it was the first four games of the year. So to see the Braves with an 0-4 is a little
right.
shocking. But if they went into San Diego in late July and got swept four games, nobody would be panicking. They'd say, "Oh, that was a bad series. Move on." And I
I
think that's the same deal here. Just like you said, no, don't hit the panic button 2 weeks in. Braves are still going to contend for the NL East. They're probably going to make a wild card. They just got off to a bad start against a really hot team on the road. It happens.
well, yeah, I get it. You're right. I concur, but now they run into Dodger Stadium, and man, that team is hot. I mean, honestly, you're hoping to pull one game out of there, and now you're coming out of here, what, 1-6? I mean, to start the season. I mean, look, I get it. Teams start slow. It is a long slog. Games, games count the same. I understand, but games are more important on the back end because of momentum, things like that. We're going to see what happens. The Braves are a good organization, but the thing that surprised me is they pitched really well. They just happened to lose some really close games, right? I mean, it wasn't I was surprised I didn't see a little more hitting coming out of them, with Olson and Acuna, but maybe Acuna is going to take a little time to recover from that ACL from last year.
Yeah, that and thanks Nick Pavetta.
Yeah, I know, right?
As a Red Sox fan, I got to throw that out there, right?
Thank you. Well, that you make the segue so easy. Let us talk about our beloved Red Sox going into Texas and coming out with a 1-3 mark.
Do we have to?
Yeah, unfortunately. Let's talk about your best friend, Rafael Devers.
What?
Uh, yeah, I know. I know. I think he started
Not
out.
mine.
Yeah, well, I love the guy. I love the guy. Big Poppy Jr. Um, he started out 0 for 10 with 10 strikeouts, I believe, something in that
It
realm.
got worse yesterday.
It did. He had a couple more strikeouts. Let me ask you just generally, there was obviously the brouhaha with him wanting to play third base. They put Bregman. He didn't play most of spring training. I think he only came into a couple games in the final week of spring training. Do you think there's it's a lack of having at bats in spring training, or do you think there's an attitude thing going on, or just a bad start?
Probably a combination of all three
Mhm.
is what I would guess.
Right.
I do think, he had these. I don't think they ever really defined him last year, but he had these shoulder issues that he fought through for most of the season, and they ended, I think, shutting him down at the last week or so of the season when the Red Sox were officially eliminated. And they're saying that's the reason he didn't play most of the spring training games, is he was still kind of working on those shoulders. So are they still bothering him? Maybe, but as far as I'm always concerned, if you're on the field, you're 100%. There's no excuses. Uh, that nobody gets the field tilted for them because they're fighting through an injury. Uh, the lack of at bats in spring training versus live pitching, yeah, that probably has something to do with it. I'm sure he's been swinging in the cage, hitting up the tee, all that kind of stuff. But something about live action can't be replicated in practice. And then, yeah, I think he does probably still have a little bit of an attitude, and especially that gets magnified even more internally, personally for him when he's not producing.
Sure.
That's my take on it. If I could play a psychologist there.
Well, I'm glad you can, Dr. Sigmund Freud. Thank God. Thank God. Yeah, I know. I wish we were making that kind of cash. I've always hated that narrative, that BS narrative of if you're on the field, you need to produce. I know you didn't watch the Final Four yesterday, but one of the star players for Auburn got hurt. I mean, this guy got mangled, right? His arm was off. They take him back to the locker room. He came back, and it is literally, they put him back in the game. And obviously, they put him back in the game because they don't give a rat ass about his career. He's done after this tournament, right? See you later. You're going to the pros. See you later. Have a good life. And this guy has got a broken chicken wing, and he can't even use his right arm. And I'm thinking to myself, we shame these players into getting back into the arena. We sit there, and I'll give you a perfect example. A couple of years ago, Kevin Durant played for the Golden State Warriors, and he had a hamstring problem. And I was actually in Frisco back then, and the local media, and I know this came from management, they were shaming him. They were leaking snippets of him looking quote unquote good in practice to get him back on the court. And what did he do? He blew out his Achilles heel. So everybody wants it both ways. They want to shame the injured player back onto the field, but then they expect him to be Babe Ruth. At the end of the day, if the guy's hurt, and I understand when you're paying a guy 35 or 40 million dollars a year, you want him on the field. I get it. But we got the guy signed for 10 years. If he needs another 3 weeks, who cares? Keep him around. Don't destroy his career. I mean, you've got a long term investment. If this guy was a one and done, I'd say, yeah, kiss my ass. Go ahead, get out there. And if you blow out your knee, whatever. See ya, Kevin Durant. Oh, by the way, he was a free agent after that year and he didn't re-sign. Wonder why. Just a little tidbit from the Off the Rails Sports Podcast. You know, to me, I think Devers, he might, they're not going to be forthcoming on the injury, right? They're not really. That's just the way they do. They're a little better than hockey, but that's literally like, it's like saying that Rome is going to be forthcoming about what's going on with the Pope. Yeah, right. I got a better chance figuring out what's going on in the next Mission Impossible movie. But I think Devers, I think he just got behind, and I think they put him in there too early. I wish they would have gave him a couple games at AAA, but it's easy to say that after he goes 0 for 15 or 1 for 15 or whatever it is, right?
There's no one in there.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
still an O.
All right.
Well, so yeah, my take on it. Hey, I'm not saying the guy's good enough to play. He should play. My take on it is, if they're on the field, they're on the field and they're expected to produce.
I get that, but there's different levels of production, right? We expect a different level of production from Devers than we do from Kristen Campbell or David Hamilton or some of those guys. Look, and when he goes 1 for 4, we go, wow, what's wrong with him? That would be a career week for Wong, right behind the plate, right? I know. All right, I'm gonna pivot, and I want you to chime in. Yeah, I do it. I'm like literally, I am like John Travolta on the dance floor. I can pivot at the
Woo.
woo. Yeah, I know, right? Where's Uma Thurman? One day I'll have to tell you my Uma Thurman story. And
I thought you were going back to staying alive.
yeah, wow, wow, touche. I still do love the Bee Gees. Um, so I got to watch the Sunday night baseball telecast on ESPN, and it is literally like getting waterboarded. I'm watching this, and Carl Ravitch, they literally have got the Three Stooges in there. I watch Fox, and I got Joe Davis and John Smoltz, who are great. They are fantastic. And then I look across the way. It's like showing up for a date, and there's Emily Ratajkowski, and then you look over and you got Melissa McCarthy, and you go, "Wow, which one's my Tinder date?" I don't know. I really couldn't tell, right? I watch
Well, that's
Carl
why I got
Rav,
married a long time ago, and I
and you're
stayed
a lucky
married.
man. You're a lucky man. God bless you. You got the last winner, okay? I'm out there foraging in the forest, okay? God bless you. And I see David Cohn, and I'll give you an example last night. His fourth inning, there's one out, guy on third base, and they bring the infield in. And David Cohn says, "Isn't it a little early to bring the infield in?" And Eduardo says, "Well, the analytics says you bring them in now." And then that was the end of the story. And I'm thinking to myself, does David Cohn not even care about analytics, or is Eduardo Perez not even at least giving a semblance of thought to what he's talking about? I mean, really, they're all over the place. All right. I know
Okay.
you don't watch ESPN,
I don't
okay?
watch it. So for the last couple of years, I have got the MLB streaming package to watch games.
All right.
So because of that, I don't, because MLB is so awesome, I don't get to watch the local games
Of
here in
course.
SoCal. I don't
Of
get to
course.
see any Angel games or Dodger games whatsoever, home or road, because the rights to broadcast those in this area go to their cable network.
Right.
So sucks for me, I guess, because I'm buying my product direct from the source.
Right. Is there you go. Talk about
uh, so I also don't get to watch the ESPN nationally televised games or the Fox televised games. So I have not got to see the booth setup that you are watching currently on ESPN. But I will say this, the cool thing I get to do is when I'm watching games, I'm listening to the local broadcasters. So when I'm watching the Red Sox, I'm tuning into their Nesson and I'm
right.
listening to O'Brien
Acker,
and his different
Ackersley.
color guys.
Okay. All right.
No, it's not Eckersley anymore. He
Oh,
retired, but lately it's Lou Merlone and occasionally Kevin Millar.
okay.
Uh, Yesterday afternoon, after the Red Sox, I flipped over to the Diamondbacks Cubs. I was listening to the Diamondbacks broadcast, and I have the option to listen to either or, which is pretty
Is
cool.
Brenly still on the broadcast there?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was a great comeback by the Diamondbacks, by the way. They rallied for like a million runs in like the eighth inning. And just like every guy up, just hit, hit, hit. It was unbelievable. Uh, After watching the Red Sox, choke it away for 3 days in a row.
Sure.
But it's really good. I get to, and there's, of course, when you're watching the local broadcast, most of them, they're they're homers,
Yeah, absolutely.
which, and I used to not like that. I don't mind it as much when I'm watching it now because I realize I'm watching that team's broadcast. But the Reds are great, their broadcast team. The Giants are great. The Indians, great.
Yes.
Uh, but yeah, the I don't know the allure of some of these national ones. I mean, people forever hated the Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, or they
Absolutely.
hated Tim McCarver at least.
Yeah. Right.
Uh, you know what? I kind of didn't mind Tim McCarver. He wasn't like my favorite or anything, but I didn't mind the guy. Joe Buck, as much as he kind of had an arrogance about him a little bit,
A little bit. So, like Donald Trump.
but I
Go
did,
ahead. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
but he really is he really is good at calling the game.
He is. He did the opening game for ESPN this year, and he was spectacular.
Yeah,
I thought he was very. One thing that I really enjoy is when the play-by-play guy is generous with the color guy, and he tees him up. Al Michaels was really great at this. He would tee up the guy into his wheelhouse. If the guy's a pitcher, let's say, he would really focus on pitching on, hey, what's he thinking in this position? Things like that. And
yeah,
I do think Joe Buck is very generous. There's a lot of guys who aren't per se, but I mean, that's just how it is. They want to get their airtime, right?
yeah.
And living in Southern California, we lived in the era of the greatest play-by-play man ever, Vin Scully. And for the life of me, and I can't stand the Dodgers, they hit a home run with Joe Davis. That guy is a superstar on a superstar. And I don't know how long they're going to keep him. I don't know if is he off to the NFL or whatever. But I will tell you this. I don't understand for the life of me how they got Jessica Mendoza in the booth. They bring her in for about 6, 8, 10 games a year. And let me tell you something. I want to poke my eardrums out. First of all, why are they bringing in this lady who said that the Astros pitcher who basically confessed to their cheating in the World Series, she says stitches get snitches, snitches get stitches. And now the Dodgers hire her. I mean, look, I'm pro DEI, but man, we're going too far with her. Like, wow, what the heck is that? Why is she in the booth? And go, hey, you know what? If you want to do baseball, you go do UC Riverside. Okay? Get out of the major leagues because you are incompetent. You are stupid. All right.
Oh, well, I have to say I concur. Uh, this might not, yeah, this is not a DEI
I,
podcast, is it?
I know it's not. Go ahead.
May not be politically correct, but
Go ahead, Brian.
uh, I'm one of these people who is very much an advocate for women's sports being women only. All
Okay.
of this transgender stuff with men switching over and competing. I'm totally against that.
Okay.
And I feel the same way about women trying to infiltrate men's sports. When you see these college football teams bring out some girl kicker to kick off and, she kicks 20 yards down the field and it goes out of bounds. Oh, that was awesome. Uh,
Well, I think that might be a tad exaggeration, but continue, please.
okay, 15 yards.
And it went out of bounds. It skidded. It got the extra 5, Brian.
You know what I'm talking about. But not only that, but also in the broadcast. I mean, I don't know. It just seems to me, especially as color analysts, those are the ones that we bring in that are ex-players, the ones that have, expertise in the what they're talking about. And sorry, Jessica Mendoza does not have any expertise in MLB and what it takes to do stuff on the field because she's never done it.
I, you know, I concur with that, but I'm going to say this. that my favorite color person in the NBA is Doris Burke. Okay. Now, I can tell you right now, that lady studies 10 hours for every game. And I think the problem that I do have is a lot of these former players kind of get lazy. David Cohn is lazy. I mean, literally, I don't think this guy looks up even what teams are playing that night. He walks into the booth, sees the stadium, and goes, okay. Like A-Rod, the guy leaving his briefcase in his car outside San Francisco Stadium that got, jacked for $500,000. That guy did about zero study. That Fox booth, they do zero. Derek Jeter, yeah. He's not hanging out with his model wife. Yeah, no. He wants to see what the Cleveland eighth hitter is hitting in 2-out situations. Yeah, right. Sorry. But with that said, Jessica Mendoza, I don't understand why the Dodgers hired her when she basically said, "Hey, you shouldn't have found out how you got cheated out of a World Series." And I hate saying that. I hate having to defend the Dodgers. Jesus criminy, man. I feel like I got Stockholm syndrome. I've been so captive in this Southern California area, I'm finally defending them.
Well, she got hired because her time ran out with ESPN.
Thank God.
I mean, that was the worst. I did have ESPN then, and
That's probably why you left.
I mean, it was annoying to watch the games, to have her on there talking to me about how she's trying to tell me, you know, how David Ortiz is adjusting his swing and blah blah blah.
Right.
Okay, whatever, lady. Uh, I don't know. I just think it's 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 DEI, like you said. It's like, let's have a woman in there. I don't know if
Right.
they think it's going to attract women viewership. It's not. Because I'll
It's
tell you
not.
what, nobody's tuning into a baseball game for the announcers, regardless of who it is.
There is some announcers who are iconic. I don't know if we're living in that era anymore because they all go national. But like Vin Scully, people did tune into Dodger games just for Vin Scully, right? Chick Hearn. We're very blessed in Southern California. We've had some iconic announcers. We have Bob Miller with the Kings. Back in the day. Now I couldn't even tell you who's doing what, right? I mean,
Right.
maybe John Miller with the San Francisco Giants is probably the most famous local announcer. I don't know, but it
Yeah,
doesn't
there's
really
not,
matter.
yeah, but the names you mentioned too, they've been gone for a while.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, you got any thoughts on this upcoming week of baseball, my friend?
I'd like to see the Red Sox get a couple of wins. That would be neat.
I think we roll into Cincinnati, don't we?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, they're going
St.
somewhere.
Louis. Is it St. Louis? Yeah, I know. I prepared. I'm,
We're
I'm
we're
pulling that.
such big fans.
I'm a David Cohn. I'm a David Cohn. This is my David Cohn impersonation. I just yell at him for not preparing, and I don't know where the Red Sox are going this week.
Well, that's okay. We're not the ones playing the game.
Thank God.
We're not going to get on the wrong plane or anything.
Exactly. All right, my
Oh,
friend. You have a good day, and we'll see you on Thursday. Okay.
all right.
All right.
See ya.
Bye. Bye. Bye.